The gaming landscape has changed, and gone are the days of the premier, polished AAA releases. And all we're really left with are buggy, irredeemable messes with an empty promise of things will get better. Let's look to the Callisto Protocol as a recent release, one I was interested in, but at this point in my life, I knew better. Because too often are we handed this narrative. As a matter of fact, it has been years since I have been truly excited about a new game's release. And maybe in my age I have become removed from modern gaming. And while it's true I have succumbed to the pre-order push of premier titles, it has not been without its woes. And I feel that I am at an interesting point in my life. I very much feel in between generations. When I was a kid and I had an Atari, an NES, a Sega Genesis, a Dreamcast, a PS1, a PS2, and a PS3. I never did have an SNES or an N64, but my cousins did, and I can vividly remember that we spent countless hours playing couch co-op, passing the controller back and forth. I have a lot of fond memories of Mario Kart 64 and Mario. But I still remember in my mid to late 20s attending midnight releases for the next Halo launch. Sitting outside of GameStop with the line wrapped around the block. And we would be hosting these local tournaments while we waited patiently to get our hands on the next big Bungie title, only to rush home and immediately jump into some Slayer matches online. Now it is hard for me to pinpoint where the shift occurred, but I would like to highlight a few instances that I think demonstrate my point. So there are specifically 4 titles I would like to talk about. Let's say number 1 is Halo 5. Now I was a big Halo 3 fan. We played this game. I wasn't there for Halo 1 and Halo 2, okay? Halo 3 is the one that got me back into gaming. You know, I played a lot of games as a kid, up into my teens. I remember playing Bloody Roar, Tekken Tag, all these different games. I remember a PS2 was the first system I bought for myself as a teenager. I think I was 17. And Tekken Tag and Red Faction were 2 of the first games that I bought. I remember playing Time Splitters 2 on the GameCube. We loved that game. I played the monkey a lot because he was so hard to hit. He was so small. But anyways, Red Faction 2 was amazing. I remember we would play these matches. You know, we would play multiplayer matches. Of course, we didn't have online at that time, so we would play with bots. The same thing with Time Splitters 2. But it was a lot of fun. But moving on to Halo. Halo 3 is what really got me back into gaming. And I remember I played a lot at my friends is what it was. I didn't have an Xbox at the time. I had sold all of my consoles. But Halo 3 is what really got me back into it, and that's when I bought another console. And I was there for the launch of Halo 4. I'm sorry, Halo Reach. I apologize. And I remember playing Halo Reach. We played this game day and night. I actually reached the rank of Inheritor. And if you played Halo Reach, you know how daunting of a task that was to do. It took me a very long time. In fact, I didn't reach that rank until the day before Halo 4 launched. And keep in mind, there were times we played this game 11 hours straight. It was not by any means something we played casually. It was something we played very hardcore. We played Arena a lot as well. as just casual Slayer, but we played it very seriously. Okay. So when I say I'm done with gaming, as I sit here and I play this game that you see before you, which is by now, I believe, a 12-year-old MMO. This is a game I still actively play, and it is the only game I play. So I would like to highlight a couple of games, like I said, Halo 5 being one of them. I did get Halo 4, and Halo 4, here's my experience with it. It was immediately noticeable that it was not like any other Halo before, and while it was a fairly clean shooter, after a month I was done with that game. I had already reached a very high level and I just didn't feel like playing anymore, which is very disheartening for me as somebody who was a die-hard Halo fan. I very much remember during the times when I was playing Halo 3 and Halo Reach, I was totally invested. I was even wanting to go and read the lore of Halo. I would even resort to reading the wikis. You know, it was part of me. I even bought a t-shirt. That's how much I loved the Halo franchise. These days, with Halo Infinite, even being free, I can't stand the game. And I don't want to sit here and just dump on it. It's just not good. Okay? It has a lot of issues, and there's plenty of videos about it, so I won't go into further detail on that. It's just, I'm done with Halo. I've lost my love for it. I have no desire to ever play a Halo game again, other than maybe the Master Chief Collection, so I can play some of these old titles online. That's it. Let me give you an example of the next game. Destiny 2 was the next game that I pre-ordered. Now, Destiny was the only game I played outside of the game you're seeing on screen during this time. And I love Destiny 1. We were so invested in this. We had such a massive clan that we started. We started this clan as a joke. Just me and a couple of people that I raided with pretty regularly in Destiny, okay? We started this clan as a joke. It was called Warlocked and Loaded. And eventually it grew to have 700 members. I think you could only have 150 actual members with the clan tag, so we had to make a second clan to house all our members. We had it split up by time zones. And I remember we would do the DLC releases like 2 or 3 in the morning. We would have 5 different parties, different raid parties going, and we would all be jumping in each other's chats on PlayStation and telling each other where we're at, watching the streams of other people doing it so that we could get real-time feedback on how to proceed. Okay? And that was really something I haven't experienced for a very long time. So Destiny 2. Destiny 2, I feel like it didn't really get a fair chance with me. For me personally, at this point, I was in my 30s. And right when it launched, I was going through a separation with my now ex-wife at the time. So I really didn't get to enjoy Destiny 2 until about a year and a half later. But when I finally got into it, it just was not the same game for me. It was not the same as Destiny 1. It just didn't have that magic. And so I just did not care. I've tried to go back to it a couple of times, and I remember there was one time I was playing with a couple of my friends. I still talk to the guys from the Destiny clan. Years later, I'm still friends with these guys, okay? But there was a point when all we were doing, we were playing a dungeon, and all we were doing were just ducking and kiting. And I said, man, this is not fun. And I turned the game off, and I've never played it again. I eventually gave leadership of the clan over to a friend of mine who is still playing. And I have no qualms with that, because I have no intentions on ever playing Destiny 2 again. And if you still do, I'm not mad at you. Enjoy your game. It's just not for me anymore. I don't have any love for it. Now the next game, I think, will give you a pretty clear indication of why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling. So the next game, because it was still hard for me to get back into gaming, but the next game at this point was Anthem. And it was very fun, but nothing ever happened with it. Up until this point, I had just started getting back into gaming. I was playing Black Ops 4 on the Xbox. You know, I got another PS4, I got a new TV, and Anthem, it just, what else needs to be said? You hear the name, you know it was such a failure. And while the game was fun, it did have potential, they just never did anything with it. And that was one game that I pre-ordered. All of these games are games I pre-ordered, and these are my experiences with them. So Anthem, I feel like nothing really needs to be said about that. It was a complete and utter failure. $60 down the drain. And while I did get quite a few hours of enjoyment out of it, the hope was that it would continue, and that obviously didn't happen. Now the last one on the list is Elden Ring. I have kept up with gaming news over the years. I watch gamer ranks every week. I watch Skill Up. You know, I watch these channels, Legacy Killer HD. I watch all of these guys. I've watched them for years, so I'm very well aware of what's coming out and the state of these games and everything involved, right? Elden Ring, I remember it being talked about. I remember when the premiere happened. I watched the premiere at E3. Okay, so I remember that it was coming out, but I didn't follow it. I'm not even sure why I pre-ordered it. I just happened to catch a review like a week before it released, and I decided to go ahead and pre-order it just the day before it launched, because I had not followed it. I am not a Souls player. I've never played Souls games prior to this. But something made me want to jump into this game. I think it was the mention of open world. Just whatever the reason was, I decided to pre-order this game. And I'll tell you, I love this game so much. I had just bought an Xbox Series S. It was the only, quote unquote next gen console that I could get my hands on, because it was actively in the store. I could walk in and buy it. I did get my hands on a PS5 from one of the guys out of the Destiny clan. He bought it, he shipped it to me, and a shipping company who will not be named, quote unquote, lost it. So I didn't actually get my hands on a PS5, but the opportunity for me to get one was there. And I did shell out the money for it. Now I did get my money back, and that money went into buying an Xbox Series S at that point. So when I got it, I needed something to play, and that's when I got Elden Ring. And I'll tell you, my experience with Elden Ring being my first Soulsborne game, I loved the game. Bought it on Xbox. I loved it so much I went and bought it on the PlayStation. Played it on my PS4. So I cleared that game 3 times. At that point I was kind of done with it. I still have a love for the game, and if they ever release an expansion, I will go back and play that expansion. But that kind of identifies where I'm at with modern gaming. I have absolutely no desire to pre-order any games that are coming out, let alone play them, because everything that comes out is completely broken. It is a mess, and I just do not support it. I do not support any of these companies that are dropping these titles. They look good. They release these cinematic trailers. I don't want to see cinematic trailers. I want to see true gameplay trailers. The days of cinematic trailers are over. That ended back in 2013. I don't want to see that anymore. Show me your gameplay. Show me what the game plays like. Show me that it is not a truly broken and buggy mess, because I have absolutely no desire to play these games, and I will not buy these games. This is why I continue to play a 12-year-old MMO at this point, because I know exactly what I'm getting. I still enjoy this game. And all of the games that are coming out, they're just not good. Now, God of War, I have not played Ragnarok, nor do I plan to play Ragnarok. I'm sure it is a great game, but it's not my kind of game. I am not big on the puzzle aspects of it. It takes me out of the immersion of the game, and it gets on my nerves, so it's not my game. If you enjoy it, I'm not going to knock you, because it's a very enjoyable game. I have God of War. I played God of War. I played all of the God of Wars, and I like them all. But I am not going to continue to buy these games any longer. I have given up on gaming as a whole, except for what I know at this point. I'm just going to continue playing the only game that makes me happy. In my age, I just do not have the time to dedicate to these games and waste my money. I'm a single father of 3 kids. I just can't do it any longer. And it's a shame, because of course the graphics nowadays are so much better than they've ever been. But the gameplay just is not there, and I will not continue to support these broken and buggy messes that continue to be released with this greedy monetization and these unfinished products, because these companies should be sued into the ground for false advertisement, and people just continue to buy into it. Well, not me. I'm not going to do it. And this is why I am no longer a gamer, and why I no longer game. I play one game that I love very much, and I will continue to play this game. And while it may not be updated, and it may not have the best graphics, I know exactly what I'm getting with this game. And yes, it has its faults, and I've made rant videos on it before. But this is where I'm at. And this is just something I wanted to talk about, because the gaming landscape has changed, and unfortunately it is just a mess, and I don't see it getting better anytime soon, especially with the introduction of things like Meta and VR, which, say what you will, it is going to be the future, and unfortunately it's only going to get worse. So we'll discuss that in a later video. That's going to be another topic for another day. This video has already gone on long enough, so if you're new to the channel, consider sticking around. If you're a returning viewer, as always, I appreciate you. Drop a comment down below and let me know how you feel about the current state of modern gaming, because I, for one, am not happy. That's what I got for you today, guys.